channel. Today we are gonna do papitas al mojo de ajo, and they taste delicious. It's a combination of a little bit of spice, garlic, butter. It's just yummy. And also, I would like to remind you that you need to go and watch all of my videos, do the like on the like button, subscribe, and I'm at Fabulosity in Instagram. So let's get started with this really delicious recipe. We are going to use the little, in Spanish they're called cambray potatoes, and they're like little Dutch potatoes. And the ones that I usually buy are smaller, but this one had a combination of really huge ones. So these I'm gonna cut either in half or in fours, because you can even do them with regular potatoes. But I like to use these, but you cannot find them where you're at. The big ones are fine, just cut them in fours. For the sauce, we're gonna use the California chili. I already cut them and I deveined them all. Let me open one, see? And they're washed. So I'm gonna use about, I'm doing like 2 recipes, so I'm gonna do like anywhere from 10 to 12 of the California. And then we're gonna use the hot pepper, and there's a lot in here, so I'm just gonna go and at the end I'll kind of tell you how many I actually use, because I feel like it's a lot. And minced garlic. You don't have to use this, but I like to use it at the beginning. But it's optional. Like, you can use regular garlic if you can't find this. And unsalted butter. I'm gonna use, for each recipe, I'm gonna use 2 of them, because I'm cutting it in half. And it's unsalted. And then garlic, I use about 2 of them in every recipe. And I'll show you, I just peel them and I use them whole. And then I'll chop some of them up, and some of them are gonna get blended. So here we go. Let's get started with this. Perfect. So I'm gonna start boiling my California chilies, but I'm also gonna show you how I devein mine. So here's one. What I do is I cut this off from the edge, right there, and then I go in and I just slide my scissors all the way down. I open and I empty out all the seeds, because I don't want the seeds, I just want the chili, because the chili is going to make the mole for my potatoes. And that's it. They're ready to go. Let me do one more just so you can see. You cut, empty out the seeds. Some of them don't have a lot, some of them do. And you just take out all these little veinies. Okay? And then we're gonna put them to boil. And as far as peppers, I'm gonna use maybe like 7, 10, 12. You just want a little bit of water to get them all in there. So I'm gonna let them boil until these are super soft, okay? Because I want to be able to blend them, so they need to be soft. So I went ahead and I turned it on. It's about medium heat. And I'm going to add some water. Okay, I went through the whole thing and I kind of brought out the larger ones. I'm not going to use that, because they're supposed to be like, you know, you eat them with the fork. You want to take the whole bite. You don't want to have to bite into it. So like some of them I'm going to do halfers, and some of them in fours, depending on the size of the potato. Just like that. And I love these little potatoes. They release a lot of starch, which helps out in the cooking process. And they don't have to be even or anything. They're yours. They're yours to make the way you want to make them. But every time I take these to family parties, everybody loves them. They know that if I'm coming, I'm bringing something good. Usually. I'm just going to put a little bit. All I want to kind of boil the potatoes just halfway. It doesn't even cover the whole pot, if you can see. Less than half a cup, because you don't want a lot of water in it. Okay, since I'm making 2 recipes, I'm gonna put them in 2 because they're not all gonna fit in one, and I don't want them also to be tied in there. So the water's already boiling. I'm just gonna start putting them in there, and I want to cover the whole pot as much as possible. Some of them are still really big, so I'm just chopping as I go. Okay, so while they are in that water boiling, I'm gonna start putting in the butter because I also want them to absorb the buttery taste. And I'm also gonna put the garlic, but we're gonna put 1 of these sticks in each one. I'm just gonna put them in. A whole stick of butter. The garlic, and I'm gonna just put the whole thing in there. And if you're gonna buy the big jars, this is 4.25 ounces. More garlic the better, because these potatoes are al mojo de ajos. I'm just gonna leave them in for a little bit more. I want you to see. You see how now they're like more manageable? And you can see some of the potatoes are already starting to like fully get cooked, but I'm just gonna leave them in there. You can already see like the water got absorbed. I'm gonna add some salt to it, and I may add just a tiny bit more water. We'll see. This is just kind of like a touch and go as you see it. So I'm just gonna add salt. Remember, salt for the potatoes, they absorb it a lot, and sometimes you don't taste it, but you don't want to add a lot. You want to just, all right, see how you can see some of these are like half cooked and half not. You can see the line in there, but I'm gonna add salt to this one, regular oil to it, because I want them to heat up, and I want to start getting crispy a little bit. And I put about 1/4 of oil in it. Those are ready to go. I'm just gonna take them off the heat, and then I'm gonna put them in my blender. But it helps me when I don't want to dirty the big one. The hot peppers, and I'm gonna add the water that I boiled them in, and then I'm also gonna add raw garlic to this. But I'll show you in a minute because I have to get back to my potatoes. Ready? Okay, I got some of the garlic cloves. They don't have to be even or anything. I'm just gonna add some to my blender, and then I'm gonna add some of the liquid that I boiled them in. And this procedure kind of goes really fast. So I'm flipping them. I flip from the bottom under because I don't want to break down all the potatoes. And some of them, like the garlic, is already starting to stick to them. They're frying really nice, actually. Okay. So sometimes when I go under and the liquid doesn't come back together too quick, it's because it's already creaming up and it's got starch in it. So I'm going to add more oil to this one. Just a dab, nothing major. And I am going to add more garlic, but here's the kicker. I'm going to leave these raw, and I'm going to leave this ones with the skin, because if it falls out, it falls out, but sometimes that skin gets really crispy, and you can chew it at the end, and it's so good. So in total for each recipe, I'm using like 1 head and a half. Let me show you how they're crisping up. You don't want it to burn either, so see that? I'm just gonna leave them in a little bit longer. These are almost ready. Remember earlier I showed you, and you can see all the starch and everything. Now you go back and the oil's clear. So that for me tells me they're almost ready. That means that all of that garlic and butter are inside my potatoes. Look how they're sticking to it. You can see let me show you one. You can see all the nuggets of the butter and all the garlic right there. It's just delicious. Okay, I'm adding half a stick of butter to each one. I just want them really buttery and tasty. And for all of you on the diet, this is the best thing to eat. Okay, most of my potatoes are already kind of crispy. Okay, so they're already all browning. And just remember, if you add a lot of water, it's going to take longer for the water to consume and the oil to take over to start crisping your potatoes. So if you do see that it does have a lot of water, just take some out, but leave it on the side, and you can actually put it in when you're going to do your chilies. I'm going to start putting in my mole because they're almost ready to go. And I'm going to do half for each. So I'll do one first and then I'll do the other. Remember, it's just garlic and the chilies. I'm just going to start. Because all of this is also going to stick to the potatoes. It's going to give them a great taste. And I'm also going to taste them for salt. Remember, I only added a little bit of salt, but potatoes take a lot of salt sometimes. The same to this. I want to show you like all the sauce I put in and the oil. Most of it is still clear because all of that is sticking to the potato. Okay, that's going to be your goodness. That's going to be delicious. So I did taste them a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this, just a little bit, just a little spray. So I don't want to have them over salted or anything. And they are good. They're not even that spicy, which is what we wanted. But we're gonna try them. Okay, so they are ready. You can see all the little potatoes, everything is sticking to it. Look at that goodness. And we are done. We're gonna turn this puppy up and try it. Okay, everyone, they are ready. So what I do is I just get a little bit on the plate, but I get the oil from the bottom. If you can see it, look at it. Because that's all the goodness. You can let them fry a little bit more until they get crispier, which is fine, but I like them like this. And you're just gonna cut them in half, and I squeeze them in because I want all that goodness in there. Look at that. My kids are like, oh, mouth watering. They definitely came out really good. You can taste all the garlic. They're not even hot or anything. Just a little tint of spice. It's just delicious. I could eat these all day. It could be a side dish or just on its own.